All right, and we are ready to rock and roll. I just want to let you know that I'm here, and it is open Q&A time. It is open Q&A time. And I have a number of questions that were submitted in advance, and I am going to address those first, and then I'm going to address any questions that you may have. So I have both my Instagram account open on my phone, and I have Facebook Live open on my computer, and I'm doing two things at one time. Great to see you guys here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I'm going to address the questions that were submitted in advance. And if you are on the Facebook Live account and you have a question for me, you can just type it in the little chat box or whatever it's called there on the right-hand side, and I will do my best to answer it. And I'm happy to be here too. Thanks, Jamia. It's so good to see you. Hi, Dora. Nice to see you as well. So let's get to the first question that was submitted in advance. It's a question from, actually, I'm going to close my mail just so it's not distracting me here. The first question is a question that was submitted by Sarath. And here's what it says. If desired is emotionalized, want, then faith goes one more step, because faith without works is dead. And he's quoting actually from Genevieve Barand. And I believe that's even in the Bible. So desire is a two-step process. So I think what Sarath means is two-step process. It goes from want to a desire when you emotionalize it, when you feel like you really, really, really want to have it. And faith is a three-step process. So it goes from want to desire to knowing and having the faith that it's already there. Does that make sense? Yes. So it sounds like you're an analytical person, an analytical thinker, which is great. And I love that you're thinking that way. So yes, here's the next question. We've got some really good questions that were submitted today. I love these questions, and I love answering them, by the way. So it's great to be here with you. The next question is from Harry. And Harry says, thank you for sharing the material you study from Neville Goddard. And you're very welcome, Harry. Already this is making a big difference in my life. And you know what, Harry, I love that you're sharing that, because I have found that Neville Goddard's work has made a huge difference in my life as well. Almost like taking the thoughts or the ideas that I've studied for so many years and really creating it's like a golden ticket, if you will, on making things happen, like with ease. So Harry goes on to say, I have a new financial goal. I want to earn every single month. Following Neville's teachings, do you have any advice or ideas on a particular circumstance or event I could construct or create in my mind that I could start visualizing, which would suggest this goal is fulfilled? All right, now that is a great question. Hey, good to see you, Vanessa and Victoria and Colin. All right, so what are the suggestions that I have? And this is great for anyone. If you have a goal of a particular earnings, like an income that you would love to earn, or you have a goal for a certain amount of money that you would love to be having or attracting in your life every single month, well, what you visualize is, what are you doing with the money? Now, you don't have to visualize where it's coming from. Let the universe figure that out. But if you had that kind of money, and Harry had mentioned in his question that he is wondering, how do you visualize this when you're earning that kind of money? So if you're earning that kind of money, what are you seeing? Now, I suspect what you're seeing is that you're seeing funds go into your bank account, maybe it's a personal bank account. Well, if it's earnings, it probably is a personal bank account. And so that's what you would visualize. You would see the money in your bank account. And then think about, what are you doing with the money every single month? Something else that you may want to do, and I've done this as well, and I'm not sure, Harry, which country you live in, but something that you can do is you can visualize your income statement. Now in Canada, we have this thing called a notice of assessment. And the notice of assessment is a document that we receive from Revenue Canada. And on that notice of assessment, it shows your income for the year. So what I do is I visualize my 2019 notice of assessment with the income that I've chosen. And that could be the thing that you focus on. So what you're focusing on might be a little different. We've got Sarah here from Switzerland. We have Leanne on the call, Rhonda. I know we've got Americans, we have Canadians, we've got people from all over the world. So when you're earning the kind of money that you would love to be earning, I want you to really think about what would you be seeing should you be earning that kind of money. So if it's money in your bank account, then you want to see that. If it is a government document confirming your income, then you want to see that. One of the things that I produced, and I have a copy of it here on my desk, which is laminated, is I produced a sales report. And this is a mock-up. It's made up of a sales report that's reflective or a demonstration of our sales in the business. So this is what I see every single day. What I've also done with this document is I've laminated, as you can see, and I have it right here in my office on my desk, but I also printed a copy and I put it in my briefcase. So whenever I'm traveling, if I'm going to our lake house or I'm going to LA or I'm going to Vegas in a few days, I always have it with me. The other thing that I've done is I have it as a screensaver on my computer. So I see it on my computer every day. If you're someone who uses a phone regularly, then it may be an image that you want to put on the phone. And it's so easy to do. You can just take your phone, snap a picture, and that could become your background image on your phone. And that's what you're seeing every single day. So that's what you want to do, Harry. And I really appreciate you asking that question. Okay, the next question that was asked or submitted. Oh, good. Perfect. Okay, so I noticed on Instagram there's a question here, and this is a really interesting question. Somebody by the name of Powerful AGIAN has asked this question. I want to address it now. I'm going to go to the next question in a moment. But the question is, we have mind or we are a mind? And that's fascinating because I love that you're asking that question, by the way, because on the weekend, my grandson was asking, he asked me the following question. So here's what James asked me. And James is 8 years of age, by the way. So James asked me this question. We're having breakfast at the cottage. I think it was Sunday morning or Saturday morning. Anyways, whatever it was. He said to me, Grandma, how did you become a multimillionaire? And I said to him, I said, James, why do you want to know? I was curious why he wanted to know. And he said, because I would like to be a multimillionaire when I grow up. And his cousin Janie, who's also 8 years of age, was sitting at the table with him. And she said, me too, me too. So I said, well, let me explain the creative process to you and let me explain how your mind works. And so I was drawing for them the stickman concept. And I'm sure you're familiar with this, or you've probably seen it. It was something that was established in 1934 by Thurman Fleet. And Bob Proctor teaches this excuse me, all the time. And it looks like this, right? It looks like a big circle on top and a smaller circle on the bottom. And of course, the top circle represents your conscious mind. The lower part of the circle represents your subconscious mind. And the smaller circle represents your body. And I was explaining to him this whole process of how this works. And at one point, he just stopped me. And you know, kids, they're just so playful and so much fun and so honest. And he said, wait a minute, Grandma. And I said, what's up? And he said, that's not the mind. That's not what the mind looks like. The mind looks like, and he's trying to describe what the brain looks like. And a lot of people think of the mind as the brain, but the mind it's like universal. You can think of the universal mind. It is all encompassing. So even in this document or this image that we're seeing here with the stickman concept, it's really, that's the entire mind, subconscious mind, reflective in the body through feelings. It'll be reflective in your results. So when you ask the question, Powerful Aegean, we have mind or we are a mind, both. It's actually both. We are a mind and we have access to this universal mind, if you will, as well. So I like that question. I think that's a really great question. All right, we have another question that was submitted in advance, and I'm going to go there next. I'm just waving to folks on Instagram as well as we're going along here and making sure there aren't any questions that I've missed on here. So let's go to the next question that was submitted. The next question is the following, and it's a question that was submitted by Loading7. So I'm not sure who that is, but either way. First, thank you for replying. You are awesome. Secondly, the question was, is there a chance that once, oh, this is a good question. I like this one. Is there a chance that once you reach your C-type goal and you know that it wasn't for you? I think I'm going through this because I just joined a company, which was my goal, and now I'm in, I dislike it. All right, perfect. I love that question. And yes, absolutely. And I am certain that's happened for many, many people who have set goals, they've reached the goal and went like, oh, that's not really what I want. Absolutely, it happens. It happens all the time. And what happens is that you end up realizing a lot more because now you're viewing this experience from the accomplishment point of view. And therefore, if you decide, hey, I don't think I really want this anymore, then make a new choice, make a new decision. You see, I really love that we've been given with this great gift to make decisions, to make choices. And if you make a choice, and it could be a big choice, big decision, it could be a career decision, it could be a relationship decision, it could be a home decision. I've certainly done that before where I've made buying decisions and then realized later, oh, that's not what I want, and then made a new decision. So yeah, it happens. It happens probably a little more frequent than what we realize, but certainly make a new decision, make a new choice and decide what you would really love. You've got more information now to make a new decision. Okay, we've got some questions on Facebook as well. I'm going to get back to those. And I know we're also connected with Instagram here. I believe I have 2 more questions that have been submitted in advance. I'm going to address those first, and then I'll come back to any questions that you guys may have. Okay, so Stephen is asking this question. Is it the more we visualize the future big dream, which causes the universe to send us messages? All right, great. That causes us to send us messages that our intuition picks up and directs us to make the actions that cause the reaction that we need to fulfill our dreams. Is this called the dream is now using me? What a great question. Yeah, so when you're visualizing, you're absolutely, this is for everyone, by the way, when you make a decision on what it is that you really desire and you see yourself in possession of that, like you really genuinely can see vividly the experience as if you're already in it, your intuition is going to send you messages, right? You're going to be, if you're tapping into your intuition, which is one of your mental faculties, and you're really paying attention to it, you're going to get ideas. It's like that expression, I'm so grateful for the idea that has used me, similar kind of idea. So you're saying the dream is now using me, but it's an idea. It's an idea that when you play with that idea and you decide it is something that you truly desire and you've become emotionally connected to it, then you can manifest it. All right, so thank you, Stephen, for asking that question. The next question that was addressed is a question from Vanessa. And she says, what is missing? Another great question, by the way, so really listen up to this one. Here's what Vanessa is asking. What is missing when you see things manifesting around you, but not to you yet? Does that make sense? Hold on a second. I'm just going to shut this baby down. Okay, does that make sense? Absolutely. What's missing is you're not in alignment. You're not in alignment. And it could be that you just don't understand the process. And the process is that when we get into a creative state of manifesting, and when we are truly connected, we're on a frequency. We're in alignment with our goal. In other words, you're feeling as if your goal is already here. It will come to you. Absolutely, certainty, guaranteed. It's not a maybe, it's not an if, but what you don't know and what you won't know is when it's going to happen. That's the part that creates challenges for people. So what happens is people don't see the results yet, or when they would ideally love for them to happen, and therefore they get frustrated. And the moment you get frustrated, the moment you get disillusioned, you have just put poison on your goal. You've contaminated it. So if you stay connected to the feeling states that it's already here, it's going to manifest for you into physical form. Absolutely works all the time. But most people aren't willing to go the mile, the extra mile. Most people aren't willing to invest the time and the energy in order to make it happen. All right. There we go. All right, good. Okay, so we've got some questions that have been coming in. And I just want to check them on here. Excellent. So I noticed E-loading 7. I think you may have joined after I answered your question. So if so, you can catch the recording. Okay, so we have a couple questions here that have been submitted on Facebook, even though I'm doing Instagram Live and Facebook Live at the same time. All right, so the question that was submitted here is, hey, good to see you, Dorothy. Laurette's on here too, Monica. All right, Monica is asking this question. Thanks, Monica, I appreciate you being here. How can you tell the difference when you have resistance versus when you don't feel aligned with a situation? Great question, Monica. Sometimes it could be the exact same thing. You could have resistance because you're not aligned, and that's why you're feeling resistance and you're not aligned. So how can you tell the difference when you're having resistance versus when you feel aligned with a situation? It's always based on this, how you are feeling. Now, if you're feeling resistance, which is not uncommon, especially when you're stretching yourself, especially when you're really going for the big goal, if you're feeling resistance, it's going to be your paradigm. The paradigms are going to show up. Paradigms are so strong, they will hold you back, and they will continue to hold you back until you replace them with a supportive paradigm, a paradigm that's going to support you. So if you notice some resistance, what you want to pay attention to is, what is that resistance, or why is that resistance showing up in your life? What is causing it? Is it, and just get quiet with yourself and be honest with yourself. The idea behind this is not so that you get upset. The idea behind noticing the resistance is simply to notice your emotional state as an observer, not as somebody who's going to judge it, just as an observer. So if you notice the resistance there, it's like, okay, why is this showing up? Why is this resistance showing up? Is it that you don't believe you're worthy of it? Is it that you have no earthly idea how you're ever going to do it? Is it because you think that it's not possible, or that you're not smart enough, or you don't have enough education, or you're not experienced enough? Whatever it is, just get really honest with yourself from an observer point of view, so you're detaching any negative emotions, and just be honest and notice what the resistance is and where it's coming from. And you're going to figure it out. You are absolutely going to figure this out. You know you better than anyone. Now, you got to do this when you're quiet, where there's no distractions. Just ask yourself the question, what is it? What is it that's going on within me that's causing me to have this resistance in my life? Because if you're not aligned, you're not going to attract it. So if it is something as simple as okay, Joseph is saying something here. I just want to address that in a second. If it's something as simple as you don't feel you're worthy, then you can replace that with a statement that's worthy. Okay, so, all right. So Joseph says, maybe the resistance is coming from somebody or something separate from the self. The resistance is an internal thing. That's what Monica's talking about here. Resistance is from an internal thing. Even if you're in a partnership with somebody, if you're feeling resistance, it's because you're connected to that emotional state. Nobody and nothing else has any control over how you feel. Nothing. No one, nothing has control over how you feel. You're in full control of how you feel. You've got to recognize that. Now, if you want to manifest something, you can manifest it. If you think it's coming from something else, that could be a paradigm. It could simply be a paradigm. All right, Powerful again says, I don't understand this. What is the place of action and action in the process of achieving the goals? There are many people who have achieved many things without taking action, and many other people. Okay, that was the end of that one as well. Okay, so look, there's always going to be action involved when you're pursuing a goal. Nobody sits on their butt and does nothing to accomplish things in their life. Now, the action that they might be doing is visualizing. The action that they might be doing is working on themselves. But there's always action involved. Now, the action is going to come from, listen to this, the action is going to come from knowing that you're already there. You're knowing that you're already there. So if you decide this is already something that you're experiencing in your life, you're going to get inspired. You will hear, whether it's in your minds, in your own mind, you're going to hear ideas, you're going to see an email, you're going to have a conversation with somebody, bam, ideas are just going to pop in your mind like that. and you will be inspired with the right action. I believe it was yesterday that I did a morning money class. And if you are not a subscriber to my morning money classes, I suggest you get subscribed right now, because yesterday I delivered a morning money class where I talked about action versus right action. All right. So that's something that I definitely want you to take a look at. You will be inspired with action when you're absolutely connected with it. Yeah, there are a lot of outside factors that accept our reality. There are sprays being sprayed over us that affect us. If you let it. If you let it. You know, I was teaching a class this week about how we are always in control of what we accept or reject in our mind. Yes, there's a lot of things going on. The news, as an example, horrific things in the news. Again, you don't have to get emotionalized with it. You don't even have to turn on the television. Just keep it turned off. You want to be surrounding yourself with positive thinking people. You want to surround yourself with people that uplift you. You want to put yourself in environments that are truly positive. And if you're not in them now, then you've got to pretend that you are in your imagination. You see, no one is in control of how you feel. Joseph's talking about outside factors. Read the book called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Now, here's a guy who was in a Nazi concentration camp where they took, family members away, took his clothes away, took all of his stuff away, but he didn't allow those outside factors to affect what was going on in his mind. That is absolute control, right? It's like you're really, really focusing on your imagination. Your imagination is a powerful tool. It can change your world. It can change your results. It can change everything about you. And imagination is really what has contributed in this world to many phenomenal advancements in this world. So tap in your imagination and don't let those outside factors affect you. You see, when I started studying these materials, I was in a very, very destructive state. I had no will to live. I didn't want to live, and everything in my life was messed up. So I had to really work hard, and I'll say that because it was a lot of work to really manage what was going on in here, because my paradigms were so strong in the negative side of things that I had to work very, very hard, and it definitely took years to turn things around. It took years to turn things around. But I recognize all of this now. I understand all of this now. And now I get to live an incredible life that gets better and better and better all the time. But there's a lot of work involved, right? You're here now and you're listening to this and you're watching this and you're hearing ideas. But what you do with it, 15 minutes after we get off the call is really up to you. Like I mentioned, man's search for meaning. I'm talking about imagination. I'm talking about focusing only on what you want. You get to do those things. But if you just listen to this stuff and go, oh yeah, that's really nice, and okay, that makes sense, but do nothing with it, your life won't change. You got to do something with it. You got to really apply it. All right. Vanessa says, I don't ever tire of seeing that diagram and learning about it. I learn something new every single time and it soaks in a little deeper. I love that, Vanessa. So Vanessa was talking about this stick man diagram, which really represents us and how it's like how we think, it's like how we create, it's how we destroy. And I absolutely agree. I never tire of this information because this information is constantly bringing us or a greater awareness. And if you want your results to change, you must improve your awareness. You must focus on being in the study and implementing what you're learning. All right, Hugo says, Bob always says there's two known ways to change a paradigm. The first time is space-time repetition, and the other one is emotional impact. Could you explain more about the latter? Absolutely. I love that question. Thank you so much, Hugo. Yes, there's two known ways to change your paradigms. And I think this is a valuable idea, one of the most valuable ideas you'll ever learn. One of them is through space-time repetition. But what Hugo's saying is explain the latter one, which is an emotional impact. I want to talk for a moment about space-time repetition as well, because this is important for you. So space-time repetition is really, this is the Power Life Script process, is where you, let me take my fingers off the P. It's where you decide what you would love your life to be like and where you script it as if you're living it that way right now. And then you record it and listen to it every single day so that you're really connected emotionally to that over and over and over and over and over again until it becomes your reality, right? That's what a Power Life Script does. It's the most powerful technique I've ever used to change my paradigms. But an emotional impact, that could be something like being diagnosed with cancer. And then you make a decision, you're no longer going to eat the garbage that you've been eating. Or it could be someone dies suddenly at a young age, and that impacts you emotionally. Or it could be a loss of everything. And people have had that. I'm talking about physical things, right? Loss of home, loss of job, loss of whatever. That can have a big emotional impact on people. And that's happened, where people have had major things happen in their life, emotional things happen in their life, and they made a decision. I'll give you an example of an emotional impact for me that really had a big impact in my life. Back in 1994, I got divorced from my husband. Now, when I got married thinking, and I know a lot of people enter marriages with the same idea or concept, that it's forever. And I didn't get married till my early 30s. So when I got married and we had our son, Michelle, for me, it was like we were a family and we're going to be together forever. And that's not what happened. And going through that process of divorce was really painful for me. And it was painful from a number of perspectives. One was that I made a commitment that I felt was forever, and it didn't end up being forever. And so I didn't feel good about that. Also, it was emotional to end that relationship or have that relationship become a new form, which was a divorce, and then move out, buy a home. I had no money to buy a home at the time. I completely stretched myself. I went and bought a house without any money, but really focusing on these teachings. And at that point in my life, now I've been studying these materials now for 40 years. At that point, I had been studying the materials for about 15 years. And so I went and really stretched myself. I went and bought a house without no idea how I was ever going to pay for it. That was going on. This was a big emotional impact for me. But I stayed focused on the outcome. I stayed focused on what I desired. What did I desire? Owning the home, living there with my son. And that's exactly what I produced. But it was an emotional time. That was an emotional impact. So Hugo, let me know if that helped explain it to you or for you. All right. I really appreciate you asking that question. Okay. Let me go on over here and let's see. Monica, you're very welcome. And thank you, Dorothy. All right, Sarah says, ooh, I love this question, Sarah. Thank you so much for asking. Sarah says, or is asking the question, how about force will? How long do we have to focus? I love that, Sarah. It's such a great question. How long do you have to focus? Forever? I mean, I'm focusing forever and ever and ever. Are you talking about a specific goal? If it's about a specific goal, then you have to focus until the goal has materialized, and it may take some time. I remember years ago, we were in a home that we had on the market, and it wasn't selling at the time, and I just focused on the deal being done. I got quotes from moving companies. I actually cleaned out, the closets. I started packing things, and it took longer than what I would have loved or what I desired, but I never stopped focusing on it. And I did things like I had the realtor come over to the house and put a sold sign on the line. I took a picture of it with us in front of it and kind of like celebrating. And, I would constantly look at the next house that we were going to buy. And so I actually created a whole course called Manifest Your Dream Home, because I've manifested a lot of different real estate properties in my life, and I'm sure I'm not done with that yet. And so, and it's not a matter of force, because force negates. So what you want to do is you want to hold your image with your will, which is a mental faculty. You want to hold it and emotionalize it and feel as if you're already there, but don't force it. Allow it. All right. Allow it. It's a little different. Now, what you may find is just relax. Like years ago, I created this app that's available on the App Store called Relax Your Way to Wealth. You see, when people want money or more money in their life, they're typically stressed or uptight about it. And I only know that because I had that experience many years ago. And I realized from personal experience that the more relaxed I am in allowing the funds to flow, the better it goes, the better it flows. So the more relaxed you are, the better it's going to go. And even with business or career or relationships, you don't want to be like, I have a very close friend who is now single, and her partner had passed away. And I know that they want someone in their life, and they get frustrated, and they're frustrated because, they're not meeting anybody, or they meet somebody and they turn out that just not their taste or their style, or they actually got involved in a relationship and it was going really well, but then the guy just pulled back. And so, experiences like that, can create frustration if you allow it. And I said, you got to stay away from that emotional state of frustration. You got to stay actively involved in experiencing and feeling the emotion of having that person in your life, this significant person that you would love to have in your life. See that, feel that. And even if you're start dating somebody and it doesn't work out, probably not the right person for you. It's probably not the right alignment for you. So just go, thank you, next. And that's what you do. It's just like next, until the right person comes along. When you are connecting to the experience that right person is already there. All right, that's what you have to do. And it works on anything. All right, Vanessa said she's ordering the book now. Way to go. Hey, Carlo's on here. Good to see you, Carlo. I haven't seen you for like years. It's so good to see you. Okay. All right. Celia says, yes, the work is so important. As a coach, I express this all the time. I love that. Okay. Dora says, how to keep progressing toward my goal. I feel I'm going back and forth and it makes me feel stagnant. Well, it doesn't make you feel anything. You choose to feel. You choose to feel whatever emotion you're feeling. Stagnant is not going to be a productive, or is not a productive state. Stagnant is a destructive state. Now, nothing stays the same. We're either going forward or we're going backward. So you get to decide which direction you want to go in. So when we're talking about our goals, now this is really important. I want everyone to really listen to this, okay? Because I think there's a whole lot of confusion out there in the world about this. And I know because I used to be confused. You actually, the most productive thing that you can do, the most progressive thing that you can do to achieve your goals is not to declare that you're working toward them, but to come from them. I actually did a morning money class on this on Monday, I believe it was this week. It was called the spanning of the bridge, the spanning of the bridge. Now just imagine this for a moment, okay? Imagine there's a river, and on one side of the river, there is you. And then there's the river. And then on the other side of the river is the goal. Now you have to come from the goal. Now, most people are sitting on this side of the river and they're looking at the goal. They're thinking about that goal. They're thinking, I'm going toward that goal. But the way that you create, the most powerful way that you can create is imagine that you are on the side of the goal already done. You've got to imagine that you're already there. You've got to come from the goal. That's what Neville Goddard teaches. You come from the goal. What does that really, really, really mean? Is that you have to actively use your imagination to imagine that you're already there, that you're already living in the home that you desire, the dream home, that you're already in the relationship that you desire to be in, that you already have the money that you desire to have, that you already have the job that you desire to have. All right. That is coming from the goal. Okay. So you're never going to feel stagnant because you're there, right? You're there in your imagination. This is something to celebrate. This is something that you're going to feel deep gratitude for. Does it make sense? Please let me know. All right. Okay. There's a question over here. Hugo says, is it possible to create an emotional impact consciously so that'll help you to change the paradigm quickly? Sure. Absolutely. Your imagination is so powerful. You can absolutely do that. Definitely. You could imagine that, like, even just think about, like, when my brother, I was very close to my oldest brother, Gary. And when Gary was 49 and I was 41 years of age, he called me up and he told me that he had been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And he told me that the doctor had told him he had a 5% chance of survival. And I said, Gary, if you want to live, then focus on living. You've got to see yourself healthy. You got to see yourself in a healthy body. But I could tell from his tone that he wasn't, feeling it. And Gary did pass away. It took about 1.5 years and he passed away. Now that was an emotional impact for me because I was very close to Gary. I love Gary. We were very close brother and sister. And so that had an emotional impact. It wasn't something that happened to me personally, but it really made you think about how valuable and how precious life really is, right? So you could have Hugo had asked this great question. You could have that thought in your mind and just imagine, have that emotional impact that causes you to really take this seriously. This is your life we're talking about here. This is your life. If you really want to create your ideal life, your dream life, if you really want to have what you desire, take this seriously. All right, very seriously. I think you should. Like, most people are just tiptoeing their way through life, hoping they're going to make it safely to death. Well, you will make it to death, but you want to make the most of life right now, in this moment. Start living from your dreams. Start really connecting to what they feel like. All right, really connecting to that. It's the best thing that you can do for yourself. All right, great. Yeah, Celia says rock bottom always leads to transformation. Celia, I love that you're mentioning that. Like, I remember a number of years ago when I was going through an incredibly challenging time. And there's been times, like, if you're really not paying attention, poison can come along, or a poisonous thought can come along, or an event can happen that you can spiral downward. And I remember thinking about what Winston Churchill said. He said the following. He said, if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. You want to stop digging if you're in a hole. You want to get your energy out of that hole and stop focusing on things that you don't want to have. Okay, so Dorothy's asking this great question. What time do you recommend to listen to your Power Life script all day long? Like, I listen to it in the morning. I listen to it middle of the morning. I listen to it when I'm driving. I listen to it, like, I've listened to it already. My Power Life script, I've already listened to several times today. And later, after we're done, I have another appointment after this. And then later, my husband and I are going to take our dogs for a walk. I'll be listening to it again. I'll be listening to it again and again and again. So listen to it all day long. If you really want to make a big impact, saturate your mind with it. Listen to it over and over and over and over and over again, because the repetition will make the difference in your life. Victoria says, this is wonderful, Peggy. Do you suppose that the words take action become a block for people because they can be associated with hard work? As I understand, taking action means to move in the direction of a desire. Yeah, well, taking action, it could be that people have a belief about the word, or they have an emotion about the word. And like you mentioned, hard work. Even if it is hard work, it could be fun, right? It could be fun work. You could call it fun work. Some people think of that word work as a 4-letter word, but not an attractive 4-letter word. So yeah, it could be that. Yes. All right, great. All right, perfect. Let me see if there's any other questions that are here. Yeah, reprogramming. Okay, perfect. I'm going to check on Instagram. How? Oh, perfect. Okay, Travel Ever, I think is it's on Instagram. It has the question, how often or how long should you visualize your goal? A great question. Thank you so much for asking. How long, how often? You can do it all day long. Like, you could be brushing your teeth and visualizing. You could be walking down the street and visualizing. You could be grocery shopping and visualizing. You could be laying in bed and visualizing. I would do it as often as frequent as you possibly can. Like, I think people underestimate just how much they can be doing with their time. Like, I'm quite often doing different things. Like today I was doing laundry, right? And I'm taking loads and putting them in the washing machine, taking a load out of the dryer, coming back, folding clothes, taking some more there. I'm visualizing while I'm doing it. Totally visualizing. I put in my little earbuds and I listen to my Power Life script while I'm doing the laundry. I'll do it while I'm doing the dishes. I'll do it while I'm weeding the garden. Actually, I'd never weed the garden. But if I did, I'd be listening to it. And on the rare occasion, if I get out and push a lawnmower around the lake property, I'll also be listening to it. Do it all day long, as often as possible. All right, guys. Well, it has been my pleasure to be here with you again. I just wanted to thank you for showing up. We're going to call it a wrap for our Q&A call today. I've answered all the questions that have been submitted and the ones that have been asked while we're on the call. Oh, wait, one more just came in. Amiga Sen La Cima. Can you give an example of how not to emotionalize our environment when we're focusing on living from our goals? Well, you're emotionalizing at all times, most of the time. So as far as not emotionalizing it, not to emotionalize your environment, imagine, just use your imagination that you are in the environment that you desire to be in. So for example, I don't know what the environment is that you're talking about, but if you're in a home that you don't want to be in, you're imagining in your mind, even though you're doing dishes at your sink, you're imagining that you're in your, your oceanfront home and you're doing dishes and you're seeing the waves coming in. You're doing it in your imagination. So you can be doing this all the time, even though you're in an environment where you really don't want to be. Okay. So that was a great question. Thank you so much for asking. Okay, guys, well, we're calling it a wrap for today. I'm going to be doing another open Q&A on Instagram and on Facebook. Next week, we'll announce it so you can know ahead of time, and that you can either submit a question in advance if you desire, or you can jump on the call and I will address those questions. And so we're going to be doing one every week in the month of October. And we're going to move to twice a week later on in October after I've got some travel coming up, but I'm still going to do one a week. And then after my travel's finished, then I'm going to do twice a week, open Q&A. Love the questions. Love you guys. Happy to serve you. I look forward to seeing you again real soon. Bye-bye for now.